first. Can you think of a way to do that, Kylie?
A good way to do that is you could say Art in the third basement with Debbie. Who's the other person that didn't stay? Bill. So Bill is obviously the third baseman. And then it says Art does not play first base. Who is on third? So that means Art has to be second base and Debbie has to be.
Jaden, does this make sense to you when she talks like that?
Yes, because I thought that Debbie was first base too. Because when I read that...
Is that easy to understand though? What's a strategy we could use to make this easy to understand? So that we wouldn't have to keep repeating to ourselves and we could definitely make sure that we're right. Jaden?
Because it's the one paragraph says that it's all there. It says Art in the third basement with Debbie to the movies yesterday.
Okay. I like what you're saying, but can I show you guys a strategy that you could use? Let's use a tool. 1 second, Kylie. We're going to use a tool. I'm going to show you something that we can use to keep track of the facts in the problem. Art, Bill, and Debbie were the baseball players, correct?
Right.
And we know that there are only 3 bases, right?
Right.
Okay. How could you use something like this in order to keep track of the facts? Kylie?
You could keep track of the facts. You can look at the paper and you can look under Art and you can look. You can see Art does not play first base, so you can write in does not play first base. Does not.
So where are you saying the bases go?
What do you mean?
What goes, I labeled the columns with the people. What are you labeling the rows with? Or are you just putting facts under each person?
I'm just putting facts under
If there's facts for under each person, why is it that there's 3 blocks under Art if you're just going to list facts?
Because the end one would be which base he's on. Like he only has 2 facts. That he's not the third
We have
baseman.
3 people and 3 what?
Boxes. For each person.
For each person. What else do we have? What did the problem ask us?
Who plays first base?
In order to find out who plays first, what else do you have to know? Jaden?
You have to know, the people, that is 3 people, so you know that they're,
We have the people at the top of the columns, right? What else do we have to know? Why do you think I put 3 rows on your chart?
You have to know facts, the information.
What do you need to know to answer the question, who's on first?
You need to know...
Don't worry about her, Jaden. Think about what's in your head and give us what you think.
You need to know about, you need to know all the hints that they're giving you.
Okay, we need to know the facts. What else do we need to know?
You need to know the clues.
What else do we have? We know we have 3 of that we need to know. Why I made 3 rows.
We already know that we have 3 columns.
3 people for 3 columns. Why do I have 3 rows?
Because you need to know, the 3 rows mean, since we have this, we need to, have to know 3...
Let's pretend that Kylie didn't write anything in that cell.
Okay.
Okay? If we don't think about that, why did I put 3 rows there? We have 3 people, and what else do we have 3 of?
We have 3.
Look back at the problem.
3 people. 3 bases.
Oh, so maybe each row could be a...
Base.
What do you think about that? Okay, can we label each row with a base?
Base.
Oops, that's probably 2. Second.
Base.
And third.
Okay. Jaden, do you want to make the same grid on your paper? Let's make the same grid on your paper.
Where's my pencil? Put that down. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, make the same grid. Okay, don't forget to put in your 3 rows. Can I help you a minute? You could just make sure that it's... So this is going to be first, second, and third. Okay? All right, what do you think we're going to put in each box? Kylie?
Maybe a check mark.
What would a check mark mean?
I meant like an X. So
What does an X mean?
It says
No.
art does
What
not-
would an X mean in your chart?
That would mean it's not it.
It's not it. And what
Right.
could you put to mean it is it?
A check.
A check? Okay. Do you like that, Jaden, or do you want to use something else?
Like
Yes or no?
yes.
You want to use yes or no? Isn't that easier to kind of remember? Now, if you like X's and checks, you can do that too.
I like checks.
X's and checks? Okay. All right, so now let's go. Now that we have a tool to solve this problem and we don't have to remember all the facts, could we go through and mark off either yes or no for each person based upon the fact that was given to us? Okay. So let's go back to the problem.
It says art does not play first base, so we can put an X for art in first base.
Mm-hmm. Because that one said right there, we don't have to think about anything there. It told us art is not on first. Do you agree with that, Jaden?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, what else do we know from the facts? Jaden, what's another one you know?
I would think that Debbie is not third base because it says that the third baseman and Debbie.
Right.
So it can't be that.
So it can't, right. All right, so we could put a no for Debbie under the third base, right? So where Debbie and third base match up, we're going to put no. That sentence is very interesting. Do you think there are any more facts in that sentence? Could one sentence have more than one fact? Kylie?
Well, we know 2 other things on this fact. That art isn't the third baseman, and that Bill is the third baseman.
Well, let's start with art isn't the third baseman. Do you agree with that, Jaden?
Yes, I agree.
Why do you agree?
I agree that art is not the third baseman and Debbie is not the third baseman because it says that it already says art and then Debbie So, and the third base.
Right. So let's go ahead under art and put no for third base. So that means if both Art and Debbie are not third base, what can you conclude? Jada?
I think that Bill should be.
How do you know that looking at your chart?
I know that looking at my chart because it says that Art and Debbie have an X.
There has to be somebody who has a...
Which equals no.
Okay.
So
Why do you know that this has to be a yes?
this has to be a yes because since this already has the X.
What fact from the problem tells you that that box has to be a yes?
Because it says that it has the third baseman, so you can't be the third baseman.
Okay, but that told us about Art and Debbie. What tells you that Bill is the third baseman? What from the problem helps us prove that?
Because it says that Art and Debbie.
But that tells us that that helps prove that Art and Debbie are not the third base. What helps us prove that if Art and Debbie aren't the third base, then Bill must be the third baseman? How do you know that?
And the third baseman.
But how do you know the third baseman's Bill?
Because Art and Debbie are not Bill.
So why does that mean that Bill has to be it?
Because both of them already are not it.
So why does that mean Bill has to be it?
Because if they're not it, then...
Kylie, do you have a fact from the problem that tells us that if Art and Debbie are not the third baseman, that Bill has to be the third baseman?
Art, Bill, and Debbie play first base, second base, and third base on a baseball team.
So that means each person has to play a
Base.
So if Art and Debbie aren't on third, then Bill must be on third.
Yes.
Do you see what Kylie's saying, Jaden?
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Can you restate that for me?
I know that Bill is not, that is third baseman because in my question it says that Art, Bill, and Debbie play first base. Art, Bill, and Debbie play first base, second base, and third base on a baseball team. So that means that Bill has to be third.
Has to be, because he has to play a base, and if the other two don't, there's only one other person left, right?
And if the other two are not third base.
Very good.
Which is in our point.
Okay. All right, what else do we know? Let's go to another fact. What else can we rule out or rule in? Kylie, you have something?
Yes. If you look at our chart, for first baseman, under Art it has an X, and under Bill it has an X, but under Debbie it doesn't.
Oh, so that means Debbie must be...
The first baseman. So you can put a little...
Where did you get the X for Art for first base? Because
Right
Jaden
here.
doesn't have that.
Yes, Jane does right here.
Does she? Did you have it?
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Okay, so Jaden, do you agree then? Does that follow the same logic?
But how did she get the X here and here for Bill?
Yeah, good question.
Because it has a check under third base, so it can't be second or first.
Ah, do you see what she did there, Jaden?
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, this is called process of elimination, meaning if